So, what's your philosophy on acquiring gear?
Well, obviously, at this point, it would just appear that my philosophy is have too much of it and never stop buying it. However, that is not true. Um, I didn't always have this much gear, and at many points, I had to kind of make decisions and, weigh what was important to me. And I definitely didn't prioritize everything correctly in the order of which I got there, but hey, eventually I got there. So I will say the crux of my approach has always been to have your bases covered by having a good variety of things that cover a good amount of ground. And I kind of look at this as like, like the Goldilocks approach. So basically, when you can't afford a lot of gear, you got to do the best you can with what you got. And so for me, I always took the Goldilocks approach to buying gear, which apparently, as I'm now remembering it, is the porridge being too hot or too cold, and the porridge being just right. I don't even know if that's the right analogy, but in this analogy, if you can only own one guitar cab, you should own one that does the genre you work on the most. The next one you buy should not probably be one that does the same genre roughly. So when I started out, I had, I don't know, some basic guitar cabs. Or actually, I had like a vintage guitar cab, and I liked vintage guitar cabs. But then I got like a Mesa that did more modern sounds. And then I would get, so like, then I got a different sounding vintage cab that covered different ground. And obviously, if you overdo it and you do what I have, you just end up with a lot of stuff. But believe it or not, all of this stuff covers a spectrum. So, I started by just having like vintage, modern, super modern, or something. I started with like the three categories, but the porridge now in this analogy has gone from it's literally frozen in ice all the way to like porridge that would scald you and, destroy your mouth. So that's kind of the approach behind a lot of this stuff. It's like the guitars range from very low output pickups and vintage designs for doing vintage things all the way to very modern things. The cabs is the same thing from, 1965, Vox speakers or 1966 Marshalls, Marshall cabs, all the way to the most modern high gain, high wattage speaker, that you can handle. Same thing with the heads, same thing with the guitars. Even within the types of guitars, my Stratocasters, I've got super, low output ones, and then medium, and then a little hotter, and then really hot ones. And they all cover different ground.